You're very welcome back to part 2 of World According to Briggs. So, we're all smelting pots. If this is your first time on the channel, do not forget to
Like, subscribe, comment, share, hit that bell. And if you're back with us again, thank you.
What's going on with you?
So today, James, this is part 2 of 100 places you need to visit before you die, the United States. And this is countdown from 49 to number 1.
So, let's have a look at this together. Let's go!
49. The Orchard House, Concord, Massachusetts. This is a very interesting place. This is the home of Louisa May Alcott. She wrote the 1868 classic novel Little Women. She is the first American woman to earn a living as a writer. They have open guided tours daily, except on a few different holidays, and it's free. 48. Alabama's civil rights sites. They have numerous historic sites throughout Alabama paying tribute to the brave men and women who have fought for civil rights. It's a big part of American history, and it's something you should probably see. 47. Cahokia Mounds, Illinois. These are really interesting. I first saw these on A&E with some show called Ancient Mysteries with Leonard Nimoy. These are earthen mounds built by a civilization that they figured disappeared a couple hundred years before Columbus ever set foot on the United States. Some of these mounds are just a couple feet high, but some of them are as tall as 100 feet. The historic site sits across the Mississippi River from St. Louis, covering about 2,000 acres. 46. Notre Dame Stadium, Indiana. Yeah, this is where the Fighting Irish play, and it's an amazing place to see a college football game. I think most people feel this is the most historic football stadium there is. Sure, if you're a college fan from someplace else, you're going to think some other college is better, but I think most people would consider this to be the best place to see a football game. 45. Mall of America, Bloomington, Minnesota. This has been the largest mall in the country since forever. It's not going to be the largest much longer. In 2023, it looks like Miami's going to have one that's going to beat them a little bit.
Whoa.
Since malls are disappearing, this one might be worth a visit. 44. Mark Twain's boyhood home and museum, Hannibal, Missouri. This was the home of Samuel Leghorn Clemens, better known as the author Mark Twain, but he lived here from 1844 to 1853.
Getting intervals. Nice breaks for that super.
43. The Hoover Dam, Arizona and Nevada. It's right there on the border. This one I've been to, and the day we were going there, I was like, why are we going to see a dam? This sounds stupid. And I got there. I was impressed. It's not the largest thing I've ever seen, but it's just kind of strange being in this valley and how tall it is. And it looks like this big, perfectly smooth slab of cement from the outside. Very interesting. And the history of the place is incredible. 42. Cedar Point Amusement Park, Sandusky, Ohio. Self-proclaimed roller coaster capital of the world. This is a must visit for roller coaster enthusiasts. If you're a roller coaster enthusiast and a hardcore one, you've been here already. But if you like roller coasters, this is a good one. When it was first opened, it was just a public bathing beach. And it's also a little haunted. They say there's a ghost that lingers around the carousel. 41. Apostle Islands National Lakeshore, Wisconsin. This is a group of 21 islands and a 12-mile stretch of coast on the mainland. It has more lighthouses than any other site in the national park system, with 9 historic lighthouses on 6 different islands. Visitors can hike, paddle boat. It's got a lot of really cool stuff to do here. It's one of those places you go on a nice summer day. 40. The Art Institute of Chicago. The Art Institute of Chicago was founded in 1879 and it is still going. The museum contains more than 300,000 works of art. 39. Wrigley Field, Chicago. Yeah, staying in Chicago, you got Wrigley Field. This is where the Cubs play. It is known for its ivy-covered brick outfield wall. Giant chewing gum businessman William Wrigley Jr. bought the Cubs in 1921. It was named Cubs Park from 1920 to 1926 before renaming it Wrigley Field in 1927. If you want to see a baseball game, this is one of the best places to do it.
Yep.
38. American Museum of Natural History, New York City. This is one of the best museums this country has to offer, probably is the best. It opened in 1869. It used to be located in Central Park when the first exhibits opened in 1871. This is an interesting fact about it. In 1964, more than 400,000 worth of jewels were stolen from the museum. 37. Independence National Historical Park, Philadelphia. This is where the Constitution was debated and written out, and it was also signed here. The park represents the founding ideals of this nation. It's also got the Liberty Bell, so that's something neat to see. 36, Alcatraz Island, San Francisco, California. Everybody knows about Alcatraz, and they've had some movies about escapes they had here. It first opened its doors on August 11th, 1934. This was also when the first prisoners showed up. 35, National Museum of the American Indian, Washington, D.C. This is a newer museum. It was only opened in 1989. It houses permanent and temporary exhibits that showcase the diverse heritage and history of the North and South American Indians. This museum is the largest of its kind in the world. 34, Newport, Rhode Island. In 1657, Newport, Rhode Island operated the first ferry service in the nation. This is an old colonial place, and it has more colonial homes in use than any other location in the U.S. And yes, it is in Rhode Island. Most people seem to think that the only city or town or anything they have in Rhode Island is Providence. There's more to this state than just Providence. 33, Denali National Park, Alaska. I'm not really doing this list in any kind of order, but I think if I was, this would be at least in the top 5. Denali is amazing. It became a national park on February 26, 1917, and it's basically centered around Mount McKinley. Actually, its Native Alaskan name is Denali, which Denali National Park, you get it. 32, Yosemite National Park, California. Just an all-around beautiful place. Like Half Dome is there. You have Yosemite Village, which is kind of neat to see. Then you have Yosemite Falls, which is really an impressive waterfall. It's the highest waterfall in North America and the 5th highest in the world. 31, Acadia National Park, Maine. So this is a national park that nobody ever really talks about. I've been here. It's kind of cool. I mean, it's not up there with Yellowstone or Yosemite, but it is definitely a nice place to visit. Acadia is the 5th smallest national park in the United States. 30, the Rocky Mountain National Park, Colorado. If you've never seen the Rocky Mountains, this is a good place to start seeing them. The Rocky Mountains have an average altitude of 8,000 feet. The mountain range stretches over 3,000 miles.
You have to bring that
29, The Wave, Arizona. The Wave is a sandstone rock formation located in Arizona near its northern border with Utah. The Wave is so well known amongst hikers and photographers that they actually have to limit the amount of people that go there. They have a daily lottery system used to dispense only 10 next day permits in person and 10 online permits. So basically 20 people a day get to go check this out with a guide. 28, the Iowa State Fair. The very first Iowa State Fair was held in Fairfield, Iowa between October 15th and 17th in 1854. It's the single largest event in the state of Iowa. They get 1 million people a year from all over the world to come see this fair. Iowa, of all places. 27, New Orleans. If you watch this channel long enough, you know that I always say, go visit New Orleans, stay in the French Quarter, be careful, and don't go too far out. It's a pretty dangerous city. The French Quarter is definitely something you want to see. New Orleans in general, it's a nice place to see. Just be aware where you're going. New Orleans was founded in 1718, and the first community was nothing more than a trading camp on the curving east bank of the Mississippi River. 26, Salem, Massachusetts. Salem is famous for burning locals when they thought they were witches back in 1692. This was a big thing. As a kid, I was scared about it. I watched too many movies about this. But the burning didn't stop there. The actual entire city was burnt in 1914. 25, Glacier National Park, Montana. This park was established in 1910. Glacier National Park covers over 1 million acres. Currently, it's home to 26 glaciers, but the numbers are shrinking, down from 150 in 1850. They've only had 10 bear attacks in the history of the park. Oddly enough, 2 occurred on the same night, miles apart. Both victims were 19-year-old females. That was 54 years ago this August. 24, Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course you have to visit Las Vegas, Nevada at least once in your life. It's known for its gambling and its shows and all that, but these days it has so much more to do than just gamble and drink. There's a lot of great shows, a lot of activities to do there. It's a fun town. 23, the Columbia River Gorge, Oregon. The Columbia River Gorge was created about 40 or 60 million years ago. The Columbia River is the largest river in the Pacific Northwest and the 7th largest in North America. The river flows from British Columbia through the state of Washington, forming much of the border between Washington and Oregon before it finally gets to the Pacific Ocean, near Astoria, Oregon. Atlantic City, New Jersey. There's not a lot of things to see in New Jersey, not a lot of reasons to go to New Jersey, but Atlantic City's worth seeing. They've got a great
beef with New Jersey
and the world's largest musical instrument. It's a massive pipe organ with over 33,000 pipes inside it. 21. Seattle's gum wall. People have been sticking gum on this wall since the early 1990s. It's about 50 feet long and it's just covered with gum. They tried to clean it in 2015. They ended up removing 2,350 pounds of gum and it took them over 100 hours to clean it. They just started right back up after it was finished. It's located right outside the main entrance of Pike Place Market. I was just there like 2 weeks ago. It kind of smells. Number 20, the Fremont Troll, Seattle, Washington. Yep, we're staying in Seattle. The troll was created in 1989, and it's this like sculpture underneath a bridge. Looks like a troll. They kind of had this art competition to revitalize the underneath of the bridge because it was just a dumping ground for everyone's trash and people sold drugs there, so they did this. It's kind of nice now. Tourists go there. Ever since the bridge was built in 1932, and the sculpture was inspired by the folklore Billy Goat's Gruff. It's kind of weird when you see it, though. 19, the Great Smoky Mountains, Tennessee. The Great Smoky Mountains are estimated to be around 300 million years old. That would make them one of the oldest mountain ranges on Earth. The mountains are officially entitled the Salamander Capital of the World. They have a lot of salamanders there, in case the Salamander Capital of the World didn't tip you off. The Great Smoky Mountains are beautiful. I would suggest anyone in the Tennessee area, just go see them. There's about 1,000 miles of trails in the park for hiking and mountain biking. Number 18. Orca Island, Washington. This is located in the northwest corner of Washington State in the Puget Sound. The island's got a population of just a little over 5,000 people and it's only 57 square miles. There are orca here all the time. You can see them, but if you really want to see orca out in the waters off Orca Island, go between May and October during the salmon run. You can see all the orca you want and this is worth it. 17. Disney World, Orlando, Florida. Who hasn't wanted to or been to Disney World or Disneyland? I grew up near Disneyland.
You've been there.
No, I haven't.
You have been there.
I've been to Orlando. I haven't been to Disney World.
Oh, right. Well, you're still in Orlando.
It was like under construction and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that still counts. We're still there. We're still like in the area of the Orlando.
I was at the Universal Studios, so you know the thing that Briggs totally isn't ripped there.
In Southern California, and Walt Disney World in Orlando is so much bigger. It was opened on October 1st, 1971 with just one park, the Magic Kingdom. Now they've got all kinds of animal parks and everything else like that. This is like one of those once in a lifetime trips you got to take your kids on when they're, you know, under the age of 17 and they can actually enjoy it.
Okay, Briggs.
Number 16, the Puget Sound, Washington. Now we're looking at the whole Puget Sound, not just Orca Island or Seattle. This area is mostly cold and wet, which means it's also green and beautiful. It's one of my favorite places to go. Up near Seattle, just anywhere around Seattle, I love it up there. Number 15. Highway 101, Oregon, California, and Washington. This is the greatest road trip in the country, I think. In the early 20th century, it was almost impossible to travel along the Oregon coast unless you had a boat, because many of the small towns weren't connected and they had no bridges. You had to go inland and then come back, and it was just a nightmare. The highway was created after World War I when Oregon voters approved the construction of bridges and roads all up the coast. California did the same thing. Number 14, Arches National Park, Utah. More than 2,000 natural stone arches can be found in this park. From a distance, they sort of look fake. Someone came in to make a sci-fi movie like Star Trek and just kind of left them there. The natural formations are a result of temperature changes. Sweltering heat, to freezing, to thawing, to rain, snow. They've shaped these for thousands of years. The tallest arch is the South Arch of Double Arch, which is 144 feet. Number 13, Taos Pueblo, New Mexico. These adobes were built with mud and straw like all adobes are, and they have sheltered Native Americans for nearly 1,000 years. The Taos Pueblo today appears pretty much like it did when the Spanish explorers arrived in 1540. It is one of the oldest continuously inhabited communities in North America. Number 12, Pike Place Market, Seattle, Washington. This is a very interesting place. In 1907, when it opened, the city council members' idea was to cut out the middleman. So you didn't have any, I don't know, like major chains coming in to basically take the fish from the fishermen and then sell them to the public and take their cut. They wanted the fishermen to sell directly to the people or other farmers whatever. They just wanted to cut out the middleman. The iconic neon sign was installed in 1937, and the first Starbucks ever was opened here in 1971. Number 11, Millennium Park, Chicago, Illinois. Millennium Park is pretty much in the center of everything in Chicago. It's not like the center of it, but near the loop where everything's going on. It opened on July 16th, 2004. It's a 24-acre park that replaced what was just a desolate area of railroad tracks, parking lots, and homeless people, and everything else like that. It went $340 million over the original budget, and it's where they got that big silver bean, the chrome, whatever, shiny bean. Check that out if you're ever in Chicago. Number 10, Grand Central Terminal, New York, New York. Grand Central is one of the world's largest, busiest, and my favorite train terminal. This place has chandeliers, marble floors, marble walls. It opened back on February 2nd, 1913, back when they made beautiful buildings worth keeping for 100 years. They don't make them like that anymore. As you walk in, there's a massive golden clock that's estimated to be worth about $20 million. You can take private tours where they'll tell you all the secrets and show you like hidden staircases and underground rooms, all kinds of cool stuff like that. Number 9, Portland Headlight, Portland, Maine. This is probably the most iconic lighthouse we have here in the United States. It's photographed all the time, and if you ever pick up a postcard from New England, chances are it's going to have this lighthouse on it. George Washington actually commissioned this lighthouse in 1790, designed to tower over the lightkeepers' quarters in Fort Williams Park. Number 8, Diamond Head State Monument. Most people don't realize this if they haven't been to Hawaii, but they see Diamond Head and they just think it's like a peninsula. It's actually a crater. If you see it from the sky, almost looks like Crater Lake without the water. There are great views from the top of Diamond Head. The military realized this back in the day and they put a bunch of lookout towers up there. Bunkers from those military days are still at the top of Diamond Head. You can hike up there, it's only 560 feet above sea level, but I will tell you this, it is always crowded. There always seems to be a whole bunch of people up there, so trying to snap a perfect selfie at the top of Diamond Head might get tricky. Number 7, Philadelphia City Hall, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This city hall doesn't look like it belongs in the US. It looks like very much a 1600s European building to me. It's just gorgeous. It's the largest city hall in the country and the tallest masonry bearing building in the world. It's currently the 16th tallest building in Pennsylvania. A lot of history went on in this building and it's definitely worth a visit. Number 6, South Beach, Florida. When you think of Miami, you think of South Beach. That's the beach that's in all the movies, in all the ads. It's going to be South Beach. It's beautiful, the Art Deco. It's amazing. The people here are beautiful. So if you're a little bit older like myself, you might feel out of place hanging out at the beach here. But if you're younger, this is a great place to be seen. And it's a beautiful beach too.
You were there.
Number 5, Times Square, New York City. Times Square is probably one of the first things that come.
It was crowded. It was loud. It was just random people randomly dressed up as everything. It was bright. It was really good though.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll have to go. We'll have to bring in.
Sounds amazing.
More than 50 million people visit this area every single year. It used to be kind of gross back in the 1980s. It was filmed with like adult theaters and stuff like that, but it went through a revitalization in the late 80s, early 90s, and it's a really nice place to just at least see once. It's touristy, obviously. It's a neat place to see.
Broadway breaks.
Number 4, Blue Ridge Parkway. It's in Virginia and North Carolina. A lot of people say this is the best road trip in the United States. I still think the 101 along the California, Oregon, Washington coast is the best one, but a lot of people say this is the best. It's not just the drive either. It's beautiful scenery, hiking trails all over the place. The entire parkway is 469 miles long, and the speed limit is 45 miles an hour. It'll take you 12 hours of driving with no bathroom breaks, no traffic, no road delays, no stopping to take pictures. 12 hours to complete the whole thing.
It's a long time.
Number 3, Death Valley National Park, California. California has some serious extremes. Death Valley is one of the hottest places on the earth, and it actually holds the record for the hottest temperature ever measured. It is 3.4 million acres. Death Valley is also the second largest national park in the United States, and it's got over 1,000 miles of roads to explore. A lot of them are dirt roads, but you could explore them. I'm not a desert guy, but I've been to Death Valley more times than I can remember, and it's got a certain beauty to it. Just make sure you got a good cell phone on. You get stuck down one of these dirt roads and you don't have the right supplies, you will die.
Lovely.
Number 2, Route 66. This is the mother of all road trips. It starts in Chicago, Illinois, and stretches all the way to Santa Monica, California, at the Santa Monica Pier, actually. This route is what brought so many people to California back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. This is how all the wannabe stars got to Hollywood back in the day. There's a lot of historic and weird things along this route. I don't know if anyone really does the entire thing anymore. It just seems like one of those things you'll do parts of it. That's about it. I tried one time. I didn't make it far. We had a whole plan of 3-4 days of doing it. We made it to the second day, turned around and came back to California. And
Alaska.
Number 1, Alaska. Yeah, the entire state is something you should see, not just Denali. There is so much to see in Alaska, you won't know where to start. My suggestion, start at the Kenai Peninsula. Hook yourself up with one of the many guided tours of the state. You will see bears, moose, whales, lakes, glaciers, waterways. It's an amazing state. Most of this state is untouched. It's just there as it probably was 1,000 years ago. Alaska has around 100,000 glaciers and more coastline than the rest of the United States combined. It's also the only state to have coastline in 3 different oceans: the Arctic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, and the Bering Sea. All right, that's our list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was an extremely long list.
That was one hell of a list. Shout out to Briggs for that, and shout out to you guys for sending this through to us to check out. So, how many of these places have you guys been to? Let us know in the comments down below. And why has Briggs been to nearly all of them?
Exactly. How many places have you been to, James?
Probably 1. No, 2.
2?
How many have you been to?
5?
5?
5, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. Any of the ones that were in New York I went to, because they're all touristy stuff, so.
You were a tourist doing tourist stuff?
It's crazy.
Oh my god.
That's madness. That's unheard of.
So, out of all these places, which one was your guys' favourite and why?
And there was a lot of national parks there too.
There was a lot of national parks. There is a lot of roads to explore. A lot of hours put into some of the coastlines as well, and how far they stretch. Like, America is just crazy big. Like, scary big. But he is right. It would be amazing to explore now that everything's opened back up.
100%. So where are we going to go first?
We're going to Alaska.
Okay.
Yep, that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Putting it out there now. Don't know how we're going to do it, but we will do it.
We'll get there.
Yeah. That's been our 2 cents, and we'll chop ourselves out of this.